Independent Transportation Surtax Oversight Board. The date is Friday, January the 29th, 9:30 a.m. If Ms. Thompson, if you could help me with the roll call.
Sure, Chair. Alan Hooper.
Here.
Doug Coleman.
Hello.
Thank you. Phil Allen.
Here.
Thank you. Ronald Frazier.
Independent Transportation Here.
Dr. Consuelo Kelly.
Here.
Allison Love.
Here.
Anthea Pennant.
Here.
And Shay Smith.
Here.
Thank you. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask if anybody in the public would like to bring up an item, or if they have anything they'd like to address with our board at this time. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the presentations. So we can start with the first one. Office of Economic and Small Business Development.
I'm going to need to ask for some assistance because I can no longer advance the slides. Could I ask if there's another clicker that's available that will allow me to advance the slides, please? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sandy.
Good morning, all. Can you
morning.
hear me, or am I okay to take the mask off, or I can? All righty. Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning. What I would like to do is show you some brief slides today of where we are, the things we've been doing, and certainly I do understand that you have briefings with Ms. Cassini, so I'll certainly entertain any questions that you may have. But we're excited because of a little birdie that we heard about a Second Amendment that may have gotten passed that might be moving forward. And on behalf of our office and the cities, we're excited because we already have a session set up for 4 cities to present in February their projects to our small business community. For a year and a half, but most focusedly the last 7 months, we've been doing that with county agencies. So we've been building up that it will happen with the cities. So we sent our communication out about 3 weeks ago. 9 cities responded. We took the first 4. So we have a workshop coming up where they will be able to tell specifically what those opportunities are. And as we advance the slide, you get a better feel of how that's actually going to move those processes forward. So in terms of those county business enterprise goals, what you see here, from 30 county projects reviewed for goals, that's a total estimate. So as you remember, all the cities who are participating, they submit to us their proposed projects. Whether they got the final approvals, not all that good stuff, that's not our lane, but we've been asking them since the training, tell us what it is you're looking to do. Based on their projects, based on the scopes, based on the estimated dollar amount, we then take a look at that project and we begin to align the goals. That's where that 30% comes in. So to date, 30 county projects reviewed for goals. Total estimate for the total projects is the 209. The ideal is that 51 municipal projects reviewed for goals. The total is the 94. So when I start talking about the city specifically, because that's what we're excited about moving towards in February, there's over $94 million. 94 in activities proposed for the cities. We then want to take a look, based on those total projects, how much can be available for small businesses. And again, you guys have been with us since the beginning, or I've been with you since the beginning, so we're crystal clear with our small businesses. Based on all goods, materials, and services procured, all won't have a goal. You know, we always used to use Mr. Walton as the example. You know, he's buying buses, so I can't establish a goal on that. But even in looking at half of what we normally look at, that's where we start our 30%. What we are excited to say, for projects that we've reviewed, for the ones who have crossed my desk after staff has worked with the agencies and the cities, currently 33% is what is currently average for projects we've reviewed from the county. For the municipalities, 33% of the projects, 33% is the average for the goal for the projects we reviewed. So being clear, some projects will be at 30, some on our list are at 40, 45, some are not gold at all because they're 250,000 or less. I have one or two in terms of some specialties that might be 16 or 17, but based on the number of projects we've looked at, the recommended goal, 33%, is what we're currently averaging as the goal. So we are achieving that 30. Right now it's around 33%. The one example I want to give you about attainment is just to show you that this is what we'll do with every single project. And down the road, we're even going to be coming back with the heat map that'll show projects that I know the GIS folks have been showing you. And they give you about the data, about the projects, about the city, about the scopes, where we're going to mirror that process. So whenever there's a time to pull up a project, when you want to start talking small business, well, let's pull up that same project. But let's give you the details of the prime, the 2, 3, or 4, or 5 subs they're using, the industries of those actual subs, and the dollars those actual subs are making. So we can begin to track the economic impact that's happening because of the utilization of small business. But for that CBE attainment, so as of January 8th, this is a drainage project from the county, drainage, traffic, miscellaneous construction for the county. This is a project from November. So as of January, that project, let me get this straight for you. As of January, that project paid to date, and that's how we look at it, and that's the other thing I have to remind you. We are not going to be waiting 6 months in, the end of a year, 3 years in. We do this monthly. The cities are even aware before their solicitations go to the street. We do monthly utilization reports. And to take the weight off the cities, the weight off of my shop, primes. If you respond to a contract, it's in the solicitations. The cities are using the same solicitation counties are using. Mr. and Mrs. Prime, if you respond, you're also committing, if you're awarded, that you're going to give me my data every month. My current office outside of Surtax, this is what we do. We track every single month. We don't want to get 9 months in to find out that we're not meaning to go. So we track every single month. So when we took a look at this project based on attainment, to date, 609,000 have been paid. But to date, 391,000 of that 609 was paid to our CBEs. So as of that date, from a project that started in November, we did this report January 8th, 60+% had went to CBEs. Now we're clear. It probably will not end up at 60%. But the reality is the target is 30, and as you use the CBEs, as you pay the CBEs, that's where the math comes that gives us our actual percentage. So at any time I'm reporting to you, I can always give you the projections. But as we begin to roll out these city projects, I'm going to be able to come in, and similar to this one that I want to do as an example, I get to tell you that date where we are. So if at any meeting you're asking for that report, or if any previous documentation Gretchen is asking to get that to you, I will be giving you the attainment to date for the entire list of projects. And again, that means, and before we go to the next slide, I want you to understand that's the best marketing tool for small business development, small business attraction, and to demonstrate the utilization of small business far better than any presentation I can do. As soon as small businesses in Broward, my small businesses, my minority businesses, my women-owned businesses, as soon as they see businesses like them in their industry who are certified, actually winning contracts, but actually getting paid, that's the best marketing I can do to get more small businesses to join. So that's why it's going to be important for us to track monthly. That's why it's going to be important for us to use that in all of our workshops to demonstrate that these are no longer projections. These are actual businesses winning contracts. And more importantly, we have a feature in my Wednesday newsletter. We share this information with all of our subscribers. It's not an embarrassing thing. Some thought it was. We put our small businesses out there. We are calling out your name based on winning contracts, based on the dollar amounts, based on your industry. Because again, trying to get other small businesses to recognize this goes beyond the county. It's inclusive of all the cities who are participating in Surtax. And with that, we're more successful in beginning to grab more or to grow more of our small businesses. So when I start talking about the projected payments to CBEs, that's the idea that we take the total contract, but based on the recommended goal, that's where the actual projections come. And again, what you would want, as today as an example, the projects that we have listed on the report that we gave Gretchen last month, These are the actual projections. You want to see me 6 months from now, from the county and the city perspective. So to see which of these projects went to the street for solicitation and bid, which came back, which were awarded, which started working, which CBEs were on those projects, what are they getting paid, to see if it's trending as projected. Because again, when we get it, we believe that we work with those agencies and work with the cities to determine the scope. When they have finally put their bid on the street, that prime is going to be responsible for committing to work with, we don't tell them who, small businesses to meet that scope. We're going to be looking at it monthly. We'll be looking at the attainment monthly. So when we're ready to write our next set of reports, it'll come from this presentation all the way 6 months later. If the solicitation hit the street, if the bid was awarded, if the construction started 3 months in, that means I'll have 3 months of real activity and I can tell you what was paid to date. So the same thing we're doing with the county is what's proposed that we're going to be doing with our cities. Next slide.
Sandy, I just wanted to ask, because you did bring up that when you are bringing those reports forward, we'll be able to see exactly which CBEs were selected for which projects. We got a couple of questions during our briefings about will the location of that CBE, will additional information about the CBE, whether it's women-owned, minority-owned, where its primary place of business is located, will that type of information be something that you can provide to the Oversight Board?
If asked, the answer is yes. Going by the current program, and the county has a race and gender neutral program, we collect that, we don't report that. This Oversight Board can decide, hey, because that is real data, you can request that. We have it, so we'll share it. We want to be clear about when you ask about the, well, actually both, the race and the gender, because it's not a part of your program. Those are voluntary submissions of information. The small businesses are not required. We ask each one of them. We're happy to say that for our certification, over 90% of those who are in my roster actually gave us that information voluntarily. But it's not a part of a process of a requirement. So we have no problem with sharing that if you want that added.
Right.
The logistics and the location, yes. That's one of the things that we want to do, and we want to continue to work with the GIS and the others because we think that's going to even be more exciting. You not only want to know the industry, but respecting our 9 commissioners as well. We want to know the districts where the projects are, where these small businesses are coming from, because that's also going to help me to attract more small businesses. It's going to be good to see the lights lit up all over the county, but when I got a certain sector that doesn't have as many businesses, then it allows us to make sure that we put more focus, you know, in terms of understanding those businesses. So the location is something that we could also share. It is broken down by the zip code in addition to the industry of the business. We can do that.
So I had that same question too for you, Sandy, about the race, the demographic, race and gender. And I know that it cannot be officially a part of the procurement process, but I think it's important that we're tracking it because we've seen in past histories where big projects like this gets sued and there's a demand for disparity studies and so on and so forth. So if we can be proactive in capturing that data, even if we're not reporting it in a formal structure, I think that you can be ahead of any possible lawsuits, that we're not being fair and equitable in the way we spend monies. So thank you.
No, agreed. Agreed. No problem.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
In addition to the voluntary data that you are collecting, what I'd like to request is that you give us a quarterly update chart that sort of indicates this data on an ongoing basis, so that way we're able to track the progress. That's one. 2, because this is primary infrastructure kinds of projects, it will probably be architectural and engineering type of professional services and construction. I'd like to see whether or not you can add those categories so we know what small business areas, professional areas they fall in. And I'm quite sure there are probably some procurement opportunities as it relates to these projects. So that sort of gives us a pretty good idea of the range of small businesses and their product types that would be participating in this long-term project.
Yeah, it is very important that we are including the non-professional as well as
Yes.
professional services
Understood.
across demographics.
And I'm
Could all
sorry,
speakers please announce their names before they speak?
That was Ron Frazier. I know I got on my thing. My computer just came back. That was Ron Frazier that asked that last question and comment.
thank you so much. I was just going to ask that. Could I also, before you continue, Sandy, could I just get confirmation that we do have a recorder participating virtually and taking minutes? Was that the recorder just now?
Yes, Ms. Cassidy. This is Johnny Caldera with Laws Reporting.
Thank you. Sorry. Thanks,
Thank
Sandy.
you.
Okay, and so as the next slide demonstrates the slide previously, this is the municipality breakout to date. And again, these are the number of projects reviewed by us. So these are the ones we've had a chance to look at, to then try to make a determination what the goal would be, then send that recommendation back to the city. So as of now, this is what we've reviewed as an office. These are the ones that we put the recommended goals on, and at some point, there's gonna be a, on your march, get set, get go, and then we'll begin to follow that when the cities, when they put the bids officially out on the street. Next slide. And the economic impact analysis, and this is where we, similar to you guys, we really want to get excited. We do want to get about 6 months into some of these city projects. The key to what this slide is going to be is really going to be able to show the greater community what the real impact of Surtax is and on who. That's one of the other features, on who. So you remember those original slides when I met you guys over at one of the parks and we were talking about the idea a projected project might be $30 million as a project. But the whole idea of that project, you got direct, you got indirect, and you got induced activity. You got direct activity because someone is going to be working on that job, getting a check. That's direct. You have indirect because there's material, supplies, and others that need to be procured in order for that person to do their job. And as an economy and as a county, we're hoping some of that procurement happens in our county from our suppliers and our other vendors. Then the induced is factual. Everyone who gets a check, and hopefully as many as possible are residing in Broward, but even if not, everyone who gets that direct check, we also recognize they're going to go somewhere and pay rent, pay mortgage, go to the grocery store, hopefully get their leisure back, put some more money into the economy. That's what we really want to demonstrate, that you might have a $30 million project that might take 5 years for completion, but that $30 million project is far more to this economy than the $30 million. Because even when I break it down beyond the economy focus, I get to break it down on the small business side. If I had a $30 million project with a 30% goal, that's $9 million that went specifically to the small businesses, and those same repeaters of direct, indirect, and induce also occur. So what we want to do is not run from the economic impact. As I'm giving you what the cities are doing, as I give you what the counties are doing, as I give you what each individual small business is actually doing and showing you who they are, and as you just asked what they look like, let's see where those dollars, based on that spend, is going back into the economy. Let's see where those dollars are aiding, as we track over time, small businesses to grow. Can you imagine a small business who ends up, because you got 25 plus municipalities participating, 2 or 3 contracts during the same period? That small asphalt company that had 5 people now has 8. So now he's actually growing that opportunity. One of the guys who's worked for him has worked for 9 years. Now he has a chance to go start his own. That's the kind of spill out we really believe will happen, but we have to begin to show everyone, especially the community, the economic impact. We just don't want to be stuck on, oh, y'all doing construction projects, $30 million, same old people. No, we got to show you what that $30 million really represents in this economy. And as all would imagine, coming out of COVID, it's one of the best things that can happen over the next 8 months to a year and a half. So that's what we want to be coming back. We want to not just give you the data, but hopefully to give you a picture that's more on point about what we believe those economic impacts will be and what they'll be distributing or showing in those communities. In our outreach efforts, as we told you in the beginning, and being fair to Broward, small businesses, minority businesses, and those who are certified and those who are not, here's some of the samples and the examples of the things we've done to date. The next slide really shows you what the plan actually is in terms of trying to continue that outreach. We still want to focus on our local, but it is time to broaden that to the region. So my Miami, my Palm Beach, my Monroe County, is just as important, similar to my local small business program for the county, for me to make sure small businesses in those areas are familiar, because we do want them to set up shop here. That's one of the uniqueness. You just can't respectfully be the carpetbagger and say, oh, I'm over here in Monroe, let me know when you got to bid, I'm going to bid. No, Monroe, you're going to have to set up shop over here. We want you to have a presence in Broward. And that's how we plan to grow our small businesses, as well as helping existing businesses currently certified in Broward or businesses in Broward who are not certified to expand their opportunity. So I mentioned that we were going to do the regional. That's coming up this year. And then after that, as you can imagine, we want to do this statewide.
So walk me through that. So if somebody is in like Monroe and they want to come in here and work and they want to qualify as a CBE, they have to have an address here in Broward County?
Yes, they're going to have an address here in Broward County where their business has been established at least a year. The same certification for our small business program. The owner of that business has to have a personal net worth of 1.32 million or less. That's the same that we follow with the SBA for the federal program. Then the revenues of that business. If it's construction related, that business can average $9 million a year over 3 years. All other services, including professional services, average $5 million a year over 3 years. And if they provide a useful function, what's a useful function for the county? If you provide a service, good, or material that we procure and that you do on a daily basis, that's a useful function. If a business in Monroe or an owner in Monroe fits that and is willing to commit to that, they can submit that application and they can be certified. So now they're added to our directory, which is also cute because at the end of the day, next 2 weeks from now, I know February begins Monday, but 2 weeks from now, we actually roll out, long time coming, our online certification. You know, unfortunately, I was one of those shops that you had to go online, download the application, fill it out with a number 2 pencil or pen, mail it or email it back. I couldn't believe we were still doing that.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, folks can decide in the leisure of their own home. I heard that presentation, I want to go online, fill it out online, upload your documents online, and keep this train moving. So again, we're now getting ready to expand our reach to the regionals, the Monroes, the Miami-Dades, the Palm Beach, to make sure, as we share information anyway on my regular program, but now we want to start doing it Surtax specifically. And the good thing about doing it Surtax specifically, I get to talk about real projects. I get to talk about a penny tax that's going to be current for the next 28 plus years, you know, minus this COVID scenario. I get to say, hey, as a business, you really do get to put a strategy to this. You can listen to me for a year or two. Then you can decide that this is worth committing to. You can move a location into Broward. And then after your year, you still recognize I got 24 more years to participate competitively. So we believe that this is going to be a good message throughout the county, throughout the region, certainly throughout the state, and then when we go outside of the state, especially looking for the larger firms, the primes, a very exciting message for them.
And so how do we
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Frazier, go ahead.
Just one other question. First, I'd like to commend the presenter on an overall game plan for this program. It sounds very interesting that they will be keeping up with all of the detail. My question relates to enforcement. Could you speak a little to enforcement? What happens when the contractors do not comply with the guidelines or the program?
So I'm going to try to say this.
How do you handle that when you find out they're not in compliance?
See, I have Angela here, so I'm going to try to say this as politely as I can because I don't know who's viewing. Certainly go be honest. That's all I'm going to give you. Straight no chaser. We happen to be one of the programs, my local as well as our federal programs, who are nationally known. We enforce. That's why if you heard me earlier, we made mention. We tell primes what's going on. It's not a gotcha game. We check monthly so we can work with you to meet the goal. But enforcement, we did move forward with the county administration in 2018, and because it needed to be, we put additional teeth in our ordinance, and that's inclusive of liquidated damages. And again, we understand the multiplier. I didn't put the kind of liquidated damages in the agreement that someone can decide as a prime, oh, I know his entire formula. It's easier for me to do the math and pay you than to work with the businesses. It is not cheaper to pay me than work with the businesses. So we actually do enforce, but again, progressively we work with the small businesses to try to satisfy the legal term of good faith effort. We work with the prime to try to satisfy the term good faith effort. If something can't be made, then we're signing off it can't be made. Prime contractors cannot voluntarily decide that they're not going to meet a goal. It's just not going to happen. And since we're following the Business Opportunity Act 2012, as last amended in May of 18, they have to follow all the rules of our program, and that includes penalties and actions. And again, because we're monitoring monthly, we can stop a project a year and 4 months in, have this consultation, then allowed to work with legal, and even if that's an action necessary of removing for cause or whatever. So we actually do enforce.
Okay, so then my train of thought followed Mr. Frazier's, because that was going to be kind of my question. You got a prime who, so he's held to, in his contract, good faith effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's held to good faith effort, but he doesn't get relinquished from good faith effort unless there really isn't a qualified CBE that could be doing the work.
Exactly.
So you have to sign off. You guys have to have dialogue. There has to be some honest discussion, and there has to be the good faith effort made by the prime or whoever's got the contract to go out, if they're not a CBE themselves, go out and find at least 30%. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then
it's funny.
You was in my
All
office.
these times you
can do
presented
this.
to us, and I didn't even understand that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where the rubber really does meet the road. And again, we say this respectfully because in most small business programs, diversity programs, it's almost us. It's always us and them.
Right.
It's not us and them. It's only us. That's why, think about it, from solicitation, what you just said, they're told that during solicitation. If you're not willing to follow that, then don't submit a bid.
Right.
From the actual award, which we are now, similar to the cities, we do with the county, we're a part of that. Letting you know I'm the group that they said in the solicitation, come check with me if you got any questions about small business. The directory, in addition to the online certification, we also just improved our directory. We're making it even easier for the primes. Just say, hey, I want an electrical contractor. You're going to be able to go in and the list just spits up all 25 or 30 of those. The point is, because I'm doing MURs, and they all get a congratulations letter when they get their award from us, giving them a staff member in my shop, letting them know this is who you're going to send your MURs to, letting them know any good, bad, or indifference you're having with the CBEs. You need to let us know, and reminding you you're doing this every single month. So if we are having challenges, the prime's okay, because we're going to work with the prime. It's not us and them. We're going to help you. He said he couldn't find no one. We say, send me your list. Now, I can never pick a firm for him, but he sent me his list, and I see he's picked 6 out of my 25. I'll go get the other 19. So we take the other 19, and we allow him the opportunity to. If he can't make it, I get to say this openly, I'll be the first one to say good faith effort, goal 30 is 20, goal 30 is 15. He doesn't have to push that forward because, again, we're there to assure that it happens. So that's, and again, that's written in the process, that's written in the ordinance. And again, we start with the solicitation, reminding them you are responsible. Folks like to play with that term, good faith effort. But for us, you can't meet good faith if you're not working with our shop. Don't say I called on my own and here's my emails or here. No, you haven't demonstrated good faith, and the ordinance speaks to it
Mr. Chair?
per the director.
Okay.
Can I ask one question, just for laymen that are out there that are maybe listening? What does MUR stand for?
Monthly, I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. Monthly utilization reports. Primes are responsible for submitting monthly utilization reports. Don't tell me every 6 months what you're doing. Don't tell me once a year, every single month. Even when the project hasn't started yet. Once you got your award, then practice the system, sending me your MUR. When it gets going, we're going to begin to monitor your monthly utilization report.
So, yes, I did. A couple of questions, and Sandy, you're phenomenal, okay? Just so, for the record. I'm curious to know, how are the municipalities reacting to the requirements? Because I know that many of them did not have a small business program, and so you're now having to introduce your standards. And I'm wondering how they're complying with that.
Absolutely.
That's one
Okay.
question. And then the other question has to do with the pool of qualified CBEs. Because if there is real justifications for, someone being exempt from using a small business because they've shown good faith, I want to make sure that we're being as proactive as possible in creating that pool of qualified businesses based on trades that we see are kind of coming up on some of these projects. So we don't want to only have 2 electrical companies when we know that
Correct.
over the long haul, it's going to take 100, right? So how are we doing in terms of cultivating this new pool based on needed trades for this type of project?
Okay, so for municipalities, open
And
arms.
Thea,
To
for the
date,
record.
municipalities, open arms. We went through all the training. Actually, guys, we're a year plus through it, so we're getting ready to go back for another set of training for all of our cities. We've already given them that notification. But again, I think I mentioned we decided to transition from county agencies to cities. We sent our letter out to all the cities about projects that was being proposed that they wanted to look to do. Immediately, we got to respond for the first 9 in that February workshop. We're going to use the first 4. So we're excited that the cities are following what we've asked today. The city have had questions, going through this process, but going back and forth with us as well as the MAP office and legal, there's no issues I believe we have with the cities. I mean, the kind of pushback we had was a 45 versus a 40 kind of a thing. And again, we were able to explain and show why we were saying the 45 instead of the 40. So I'm excited about the cities, and I'm more excited for them and our small businesses about preparing to roll the projects out. And that leads us to what you're talking about with the pool. The reason why we're doing these advanced notifications without committing a procurement date, I'm not purchasing, but the more I know about projects, see, it gets to allow me to check my directory right now. I can go see how many electrical, how many landscape, how many contractors, how many designs, how many A&Es. So through my entire process, I can begin to target those even without the projects, but the projects help me to realize maybe I need to go buff these up. But the best way to truly buff these up is to show real projects with real opportunities and identify real firms that won real contracts. So if I want to go get 10 more electrical contractors, the best thing I can do is have that contractors meeting and show those additional contractors 2 firms who have participated, who are certified, who's winning contracts. Those guys and girls now want to get certified. Again, the best message is their peers participating. So that's the same message we've given the cities. We want to do more than just monitor your projects. The earlier you can give us information, that's how we can target new certified firms as well as get existing certified firms excited about these opportunities. So we're comfortable with the municipalities based on everything they've done with us to date, and we do believe these projects as they roll out will help us build the pool, as you stated, in advance.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandy.
Chair, this is Allison Love. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Love.
So in terms of the staffing in your office and the correlation of staffing to the municipalities or to the contracts, can you just share and walk me through how that actually in reality works?
Yes, in reality, the staffing in my office, for example, you guys afforded us the opportunity to hire a small business specialist. In your last budget, you afforded us to hire an additional small business specialist, because the original promise we had made to each other is that so none of these projects would fall through the cracks. I needed to get to 45 to 50 projects to be monitored per small business specialist. Within that, our small business specialists did everything from the initial training of the cities and their staff to then reviewing projects as proposed. And then when those projects officially hit the street, that same small business specialist will monitor those projects. What we're doing with the cities and the city staff, since we don't control the cities, all we're asking them is to make sure that there's someone on the front end who can identify the proposed project, who can work with my staff person as we set the goal for the project. Then as the city puts that project out for bid, we want, when the bids come back, for them to submit, as my agencies do in the county, so we can review it, to make sure that the prime has committed to the small business goal and to the small businesses. We then send a compliance memo letting the city know, based on our review, your prime has committed to do exactly what we've asked, and to notify the prime that if awarded, he and she then will be reporting to us along with the city monthly. So we've told the cities, by all means, run your own procurement process. By all means, run your own project activity. We just need to be plugged in 3 areas to assure what's being recommended actually happens. And again, as our projects grows, and you guys will see us coming back, Once I get to that pivotal 50 additional, based on how you roll them out, I need another body. And that really is that other part of that enforcement. If we have the bodies to cover the projects, we can meet those monthly utilization report goals. Without that, then I'll be up here saying a whole bunch of things and couldn't demonstrate it. But as long as we can work in those intervals, you'll get the goals that are being recommended. We'll be able to monitor. We'll be able to work with the cities and those primes to assure it prior to the end of a contract. So that's the current staffing format that's in play to this day. And again, we're not in the city's business, but the cities have committed to this partnership based on what I've described.
And this is Angela Wallace. I would like to add to Sandy's summary. The county has provided CBE-specific solicitation language to the municipalities for inclusion in their solicitations. And the agreement, our funding, Surtax funding agreement for municipal projects require the municipalities to have certain provisions in their contracts with their contractors for the work. And one of those provisions requires the use of the monthly utilization reports and including the Office of Economic and Small Business Development in the distribution of those monthly utilization reports. So they're contractually obligated to make their contractors submit the forms both to the city and to Mr. McDonald's office.
See, I thought it was us, and y'all got them legally bound. Works for me.
I think you know what every word in the contract reads.
Only after Angela. Yeah, but I do.
Is there any other questions? Oh, go right ahead.
It's not a question. I just wanted to say that I think that educational component and sort of guiding interested parties that want to become successful CBEs is a huge contribution that you're making and a great marketing tool. So congratulations.
Thank you, Board Member Kelly. I agree. Thank you. Well, thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Sandy. We really appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you, Sandy. Excellent, excellent work.
Okay, we've got our next presentation. This is going to be on the logo and branding, Mobility Advancement Program. All right.
Yes, it
Hi, how are
is. Good morning, Oversight Board. For the record, Nicole Khalil, Public Information Officer for the Mobility Advancement Program. Here to provide you an update on our marketing and branding. Just quick synopsis on where we were, where we are, and where we're going. 2019, you guys, I wasn't here yet, prioritized marketing. By 2020, in September, we met. I presented to you the Community Awareness and Public Engagement Plan, of which what we're fast forwarding to what we do today was a major component of that. We developed the logo and various options, and that was presented to you in the most recent meeting. Starting December, shortly after that meeting till just about a week ago, we executed a survey in the community. We surveyed, we gave actually thousands of people the opportunity to survey, but we pulled over 500 results. Once we go through today's presentation, next up to present results in the logos would be the core Surtax team, the executive team, the commission, and the municipalities. I want to walk you through what we did and how we did it, the operations behind the survey. First, we developed a short survey questionnaire, knowing that really after 4 questions, you kind of lose people's attention, whether it's in person or on email. So we developed the surveys. We were well aware that English wasn't our only option, so we added 3 languages. We also put it together in Creole, Spanish, and Portuguese. We established a method of getting the survey out, and we put together a schedule for times and dates, which included strategic locations on where to survey. Surveying during a pandemic, as doing many other things during a pandemic, is challenging. Thankfully, we have technology by our side. So we were able to employ technology strongly, even on the in-person attempts for surveying. The two softwares we used to implement the survey in the community, one is called eCanvasser and the other one's SurveyMonkey. I'm assuming most people are probably more familiar with SurveyMonkey and have from the county even got surveys there. So eCanvasser is less known, so I want to just take a minute to explain what we did there. So this was beneficial. It's a software app. It's used heavily in political promotion before voting. A lot of people used it for census. So essentially we equipped a group of people to go out into the community. And again, we put together a schedule and locations. The map is very small there, but that is a real map of the places we went, which you can see there's a high concentration in the central part of the county. And we also hit north and south. So we had surveyors, people out at those locations. Again, we had a scheduled date and time, and they either had a phone or an iPad. They had the questions on the iPad, asked the community what they thought. We showed them the logo options and asked them which was their favorite. The SurveyMonkey email was the same exact email. However, the method for getting that email out to large populations was given to what we referenced in our education and outreach plan as gatekeepers. So for instance, the person in charge of student services at NSU was given the survey and then sent it to their list of students. So it's a little hard to calculate exactly how many emails went out, but I can assure you it's over thousands. So the results you're seeing today are the people who replied to the survey. Here's a picture of actual activity with the survey. We brought the poster board out, and that was the first question on the survey, what logo they'd like best. And just to remind you, the last presentation is where we presented you 3 options of what the logo looked like. That's what they were showing the community. Just to go over a quick list of who we worked with, and this is in person and on email. We did ride-alongs. We reached out to older adults, 60 plus. We worked with paratransit commuters, colleges and universities, as I mentioned earlier, general public, vulnerable, hard to reach, students, tourists and visitors, which back on the map you will see we went to 2 spots on Las Olas, local government and stakeholders, and business professionals. The bare bones basics of who participated in the survey is indicated on this chart as far as the age breakdown goes. Again, there's 2 separate charts because one is giving you the survey results on email and then the in-person, which is that eCanvasser app I mentioned we used. There's a little bit of variation on each, but we wanted to show you, again, these are of the people who responded. Typically on an average survey, the response rate is under 20%. So considering we got over 500 responses, we were both aggressive and there was obviously some interest. Next slide is giving you an ethnic breakdown, again separated by email and in person. A little variation there as well, mostly on African American versus white Caucasian. And overall, showing everybody the poster board, which logo did you like best? That's what we went out to do. We wanted to make sure we can say in years from now that we indeed worked with and surveyed the community and got their thought, input, and okay on the logo we put forth on our branding, marketing efforts. And with that said, logo 2 was the winner. comments we received, sidebar comments, people liked the coloring, they thought it was bold. One of the survey questions was, what industry do you think this logo represents? And the vast majority agreed it was transportation. A very small portion thought maybe education. The other options they were given in the survey was healthcare or technology. So the logo is indeed doing its job. It's making an impression, and it's indicating that this is the logo for something that represents transportation. Last slide. Just want to let you know what the plans are going forward. And of course, gather your input when I'm done. So once we have the finalized survey package, so to speak, which is really just technical terms for getting the file to be able to use it on anything from a website, a t-shirt, social media, whatever have you, we'll start constructing marketing kits for the city to use. We want to make it as easy for our cities as possible to share their Surtax specific information, and we also want it to be clear that the information they're sharing with their constituents, that this is a Surtax project. I think I've mentioned a couple times this city training day that we'll have with the municipalities. This is where they'll receive their kit, and we'll have the time to go over how to use the logo, where to use it, talk about language when speaking about the Surtax program. We internally have a lot of work to do once we have the final logo in our hands. I mean, details down to changing business cards, updating websites. The social media programs are up and running, but they'll need to be branded. It's just a tablecloth. It's just an exhausting list of things we need to put together to really create a marketing effort that's streamlined, clean, and consistent. And then once we have our marketing toolkit, we can definitely, clearly, and aggressively go out into the community and reach and talk to the same groups of people we surveyed about the logo and start telling them, well, not start, we already have, but continue the conversation and tell them about the Surtax program and how we're spending money and what the plans are, and everything else of the sort. I am done. I'd like to open up for any questions or comments.
Yes, I do.
Yes, Ms. Brown.
Thank you. Anthea Pennant. I was curious to know how many actually participated in the email survey results. I see the percentage, but I don't know how many people. Are we to assume that it's 157 minus 500?
Total surveys were it was almost an even split. Total responses were at about 504. I believe the email respondents were about 264.
Okay. And then I wondered whether or not, because when you look at the response from the different demographic groups, I mean, you see for the in-person surveys, African Americans are very responsive, and with the email, not so much. And so I'm just thinking for future marketing purposes, how will you bridge that divide? And I don't know if while they were doing the in-person, they're capturing email information. It may be a situation where people don't have emails or have access to internet. And so that caused me to think other strategies need to be employed in terms of how you market. And I was wondering what you had in mind in terms of community engagement and getting the word out, and whether or not part of your marketing team is demographically representative of the community you're seeking to serve, because we need to make sure that, the communication is in line with all the nuances that we know exist within different cultures.
Yes, so inclusion is a huge priority of the marketing efforts, and there is no one broad brushstroke approach that's going to be successful. Sometimes it's literally feet on the ground, and that was what our success rate was for physically going out to the locations we did and getting results, knowing that even if you do have email, I know people who don't. My grandmother probably has 4,000 emails she hasn't checked. So there are various demographics where email or digital marketing is not going to work. I think we did a really good job of addressing that in the community awareness and engagement plan, where we talked about digital efforts, on the street efforts, multilingual efforts, brand ambassadors in the community. Right now, our marketing team is comprised of our leader, Gretchen, myself, and Tashana, who I'm going to introduce shortly, our public information specialist. And where we need be, we'll hire consultants. In-house, we have the ability to translate anything into 5 different languages. The website is translatable and ADA compliant.
Nutrition and childcare. Visit broward.org/family success for more information.
It sounds like a Broward County.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling Broward County government. Broward County has now entered
Could I
phase
ask
3
that
of the
we
state's
mute all the
COVID-19
lines,
reopening
please,
plan, as mandated
since somebody
by
has
Governor
placed
Ron
us on hold?
DeSantis' Executive Order 20-244.
Is that possible?
It allows business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing to consider heavily when reaching different demographics, different ethnicities, is not everybody's on the same schedule. We're not all 9 to 5 on a computer. Some people work a late shift, some people take public transportation, some don't. So the other reason I'm bringing this up is it's not just going to be 9 to 5 generic messaging. We're also aware of timetables and real life schedules and when we can hit people, and that's going to be key to implementing when we get into advertising or
Right.
airing PSAs and things like that. Yeah.
Right, and that's why I asked. I know choosing a logo is probably not high on the list of priorities in terms of public interest so much, but I just want to make sure that moving forward, because I think that in time, we are going to have to really launch a campaign to get the public more interested in public transportation. And so I just want to make sure that you're building the foundation for what is to come. Because in South Florida, people don't take public transportation that much, right? So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that that foundation is being developed.
Mr. Chairman, this is Phil.
Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gretchen, I can recall in the discussions of I believe it was the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement, that there was some resistance or some concern being expressed by the cities about incorporating messaging such as this in the projects. Is that something that we still face as a potential issue going forward?
Hello, Mr. Allen. This is Angela Wallace. No. So the funding agreements still include the requirement that the projects display branding and marketing prescribed by the county, and the Second Amendment to the global interlocal agreement, where the county has committed a minimum of 10% of the surtax revenues to municipal projects, also includes that branding requirement. It includes the same language, and so far the MPO and at least 13 of the cities have approved the Second Amendment, and once we get 2 more municipalities to approve it, the county will execute it and it will be effective. So the branding and marketing is a contractual commitment by the municipalities that participate in the surtax funding agreement.
Which is section 6.5. I've read it clearly and many times. I also wanted to bring to your attention that we use this opportunity while we were in the community and sending out these emails to ask a baseline question. The last question number 4 in the survey was, have you taken public transportation in Broward County? And exactly half have said yes. And to your point about promoting public transportation, I think there's no better agency or program to do it, because we're all facets of transportation. We're funding bicycle lanes, greenways, roads, utility structures, signalization, versus maybe BCT does an excellent job marketing transportation, but we will be able to talk about all the components of what gets you from point A to point B, maybe be able to address the last mile and talk about your complete commute.
Mr. Chair, one quick, all 50% say they have or
Have.
they currently take? Because I have taken public
Have.
transportation, but years ago.
Correct. Have.
But is it currently though? Because I mean, I'm more interested in current demographic and how they respond to that question.
We could do another survey.
No, you know what I mean? It makes
Yeah.
a big difference.
But they have taken public
I have
transportation.
too, but I don't now.
Ms. Cassini, what would you like?
Cassini? It's, two things. I don't know if Chris or Tim Garling happen to be on the line, because I think it's important to hear from Broward County Transit. They're always looking at strategies to increase their ridership. Obviously, in a pandemic, that becomes a lot more challenging. But prior to COVID, we were talking about some innovative strategies, creative strategies around what's called gamification, where you utilize these apps like the My Ride app or any of our online mobile ticketing apps, and you can incentivize folks to try different types of mobility options and play games by checking in at various places or utilizing different types, like I said, of mobility tools. And over time, you can gain points and you can win tickets or get, a free pass. I know that's something that we were looking at. Obviously, adding amenities to our fixed route system is a huge piece of that. And then, being able to compete with the commute in a car is incredibly important. So the better the headways, the faster you move, the more attractive it's going to be. So that's one of the things, and I did want to just see if there was anyone from BCT that wanted to talk about some of those innovative strategies that were on the line. And I'll stop there and see if that's the case.
Right.
Is there anyone from BCT on the line?
Yeah, this is Tim Garling. I'm on the line. I'm not sure Chris is. But yeah, I do think that, certainly right now we're facing the challenge of the pandemic, and our focus right now is on safety. And in the long term, everything that we've really planned for, investing on, is making our service competitive and making it a choice for people. So that really does have to be the foundation, improve our level of service, improve the headways, improve the choices, link people to those choices with the best technology that we can. And I think as we come out of the pandemic, that those are going to be the things that we're really going to be focusing on.
Right. And if I could just add, college students, I think that's a great group to focus on, because this project is going over the next 30 years, and I think we need to start cultivating them as future writers, and make sure that there is a strategy that is inclusive of that demographic.
Specific to.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Higher learning institutions like Broward College.
We really do want to stress the importance of engaging K through 12 and colleges and universities and trade schools, and we are working on that. I was pretty excited that we had as many 0 to 19 respondents for the branding and marketing that we did. I wanted to go back, if I could, Mr. Chair, to Phil Allen's question respectfully. While I agree completely that we've addressed it in our interlocal agreements, Mr. Allen, I did want to mention that the third bullet on this particular slide is there because I wanted to emphasize the fact that one of the pushbacks that we got from municipalities was the cost associated with branding every project and asset and doing the type of marketing and public engagement and outreach that some of the smaller fiscally constrained municipalities, especially post-COVID or during COVID, are experiencing. So by the county saying, we will put together the marketing package, we will identify exactly what type of branding is appropriate for what type of project. We'll explain that to you. We'll provide you with those resources. If you need stencils, wraps, sidewalk stamps, we will provide that. We'll have, for your groundbreakings, we'll go ahead and have the shovels and the hard hats.
Event support.
And we will put your city logo and the Surtax logo on that, and then we can reuse those So these are all reusable to try to make sure that we're utilizing taxpayer dollars the most efficiently. But I think some of the concern that was coming initially, Phil, and that pushback was, we don't have the money for that, and we don't have the resources for that.
I think that's huge. I think that when people drive by a project that's going on or something new that's happening in a community, signage is very important, and I like the fact that the county and the city are both represented in the logo. So I think that's great. I have a different twist, and as we go to, like, you were mentioning PSAs and things like that. PSA, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm bad with acronyms. And so, you know, when I sit around different business groups and meetings, and I'll even say, I've even heard politicians say stuff like, my constituents don't ride public transportation, or something like that, right? And I just find it or I don't know why we're spending a penny of our of our hard-earned dollars, you know, and it's a lot of times it's folks that don't ride and don't understand, don't have the perspective of what a lot of other people's lives are like, right? So I think it would be very helpful when we do get to that point to make that, to say, look what your dollars are doing. Look what we're building. We're becoming a world-class transportation system that takes into consideration public transportation, but also makes your everyday life easier if you're in your car.
Right.
Okay? I think people need to get that this program is out there to help everybody, and that your dollars are being well spent. And then the other thing, and this is really kind of from left field, but it has happened due to COVID. I can tell you in my business that there is a flight from the Northeast and from the West Coast, and when I say the West Coast, I mean California. There are a lot of people looking to relocate in South Florida. And we all know that. We read that in the newspapers, and you can see it on the the license plates of folks that are driving around. But I do hear from real estate brokers that are looking to land big businesses with good paying jobs, right? We're always trying to grow our economy in a positive way with new jobs, technology and stuff. And a lot of these large companies and business owners and business leaders that are leaving the Northeast and California, right now, I am hearing from brokers that Miami and Palm Beach have an edge on us, okay? That they're just doing a better job at messaging. I don't know, I'm just saying, okay?
Messaging what specifically?
Come to Greater Fort Lauderdale or come to Miami, and Palm Beach has a young lady that is, she runs the DDA, I think, very small bridge. Kelly's, she's really good, okay? And we're really good, okay? So I think it's just a matter of getting the message out. One of the things that companies look for, they think about their employees more than they think about the CEO now. Now it's more about, where do I get my workforce? How do I make the people that work for me happier? Let me locate where it makes people happier rather than just driven by the owner itself. So what they look for is good housing stock. They look for the cool factor that young people want, but they also look for good transportation systems. And we, at some point, should promote that in a more, it's almost like a big shotgun thing where you're promoting the lifestyle, like when the Broward Alliance, or Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance promotes, we got to get the transportation part of it in with their message, And so I just think that we have a real opportunity right now to promote something that not a lot of other places are doing. We have the edge on Palm Beach when it comes to this, as far as I'm concerned. And the most important thing is, if you throw a dart on the dartboard of South Florida, and that dartboard represents 9 million people, or whatever, 8 million people, when you hit the bullseye, you just hit the center of Broward County, right? And our transportation system is going to be that connected thing that connects such a large portion of people. That will attract high-paying jobs to Broward County. We have to not forget that the transportation and connectivity is a high priority when it comes to corporate relocations.
I can hear it now. We are the center of the South Florida, whatever, right?
The
We're
heart
center.
of South Florida.
We're the real center.
Yeah, absolutely agree with this. And also, Alan, to your point, or Mr. Chair, to your point, in terms of us working directly, with groups like the Broward Alliance and just, making sure that they have the correct information. And I'm not signaling out one specific group, just giving an example. That they have the correct information and they have the information loaded from us that we want kind of going out there, and it is getting to the correct, targeted audiences, and there's a cohesive approach, right? So that it's not coming from a bunch of different places and people just, taking what they want and putting it out there. We should control this message, I think, to the extent that we can.
I'd like to add that the 6 pillars is kind of, it's revamping. It's added a pillar for transportation. And so, to your point, Mr. Smith, that was Shay Smith that was just speaking for our recorder. Having membership on our appointing authority and on our oversight board that is so broad and that is already participating in these various business groups and community groups and professional associations will help us control the message and carry the message that we want to make sure is getting out into our community, into the region.
This might be a spoiler alert for my next presentation or the following, but to assure you, we're actually, Tashana back there can back me up, we're already working with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. Annually, they publish a list of the largest private sector companies, the largest employers, the largest contributors to GDP and things like that. So we spend a lot of time data mining, which is just a really nerdy term for going to these strategic gatekeeper or source type gathering companies and getting their email rosters. So for instance, one of the lists is we've got all the HR directors for the largest employers in Broward County. So once we have our marketing packaged, same method we use for getting the survey out, we'll be sending them map updates. They'll be on our regular newsletter distribution. At some point in time, we can go out to the companies during their HR benefits day and have, a branded map table and talk to people about what the Surtax program is funding and how it could help or affect their commute. So we're in the very early operation stage of that. So,
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole.
Sure, I mean, it's on this list. Okay, so we'll move to the regular agenda. We've got a note for the record. Do you want me to go through this and read it, or? I'm okay, I can read. I think. Note for the record, the approval of an agreement to contribute to the full funding of the design, acquisition of property for drainage mitigation right-of-way and construction of a northbound interchange at Pat Salerno Drive from Sawgrass Expressway using $3 million, is that $3 million? $3 million of fiscal year 2021 surtax reserved for this purpose, as described in the August 13, 2020 budget presentation to the Oversight Board. So we're noting for the record, do we want to have a discussion about this? Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up about this?
Mr. Chairman, this is Phil.
Yes, sir.
Let me just, for the record, indicate that early on in the existence of the board, there was some issue that came up relative to the creation of a full interchange at the Sawgrass and 595.
Mm-hmm.
This is only a piece of that particular project that was being discussed at that point in time. You'll recall that the board sent a letter to the commission expressing our concerns about whether the full interchange as being proposed by certain municipalities were considered municipal projects or county projects in that understanding relative to the 10% set aside for the municipal projects. That this is only a piece of that overall project, and so that just to clarify that this is in fact to study only the northbound interchange, not the full interchange that was being proposed at that point in time. So as I understand it, this would be considered a county project and not a municipal project. Is that correct?
Well, this is Gretchen, through the chair. I did want to point out that in the backup for this item that is available on the website and was provided to all the Oversight Board members, but is not being projected here at the moment, it clearly indicates that the City of Sunrise, the county, and FDOT through the Turnpike Authority will have until December 31st of 2021 to come up with the terms of a local funding agreement. This $3 million payment was kind of a good faith deposit that was required by the state in order to continue the conversations about this project. So the city's role and their funding contribution, the county's role in their funding contribution, and the state's role and their funding contribution has not been finalized. We still have 11 months to get that done. We'll be coming back to the Oversight Board with more information as the design, the costs of mitigation, right-of-way, and drainage, and some of these other issues get worked out. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. This $3 million is by no means the total contribution that would be necessary, even to do the partial northbound ramp.
Okay. Does anybody else want to have any comments, make any comments on,
Just a quick comment.
go ahead.
And Thea, I just would hope that the idea is not to keep coming back to dip into our funds, and that the municipality that's insisting on this also decides to have some skin in the game.
I agree, and when I spoke with Gretchen about this earlier during my briefing, you know, there's discussions about possibly debiting, you know, the municipal surtax projects, or, you know, there has to be some equity, I guess, equitableness, where cities get projects, and if you're getting a project like this, it should go against, or it should be credited or noted in their favor, put it that way. I don't like to go negative, but I would say that this project, being that Sawgrass sits almost in the middle of the county, it's like the midpoint in the county, it also serves a lot of people that are either cutting through or coming from other parts of the county or the region to get to some of the points of interest that are directly off of that road and that interchange. So where it might be, and I think we're going to find that conflict a lot. I think there's going to be things that we do all over the county where it may seem like a city is getting something more, but it serves a grander population of county citizens. It's just by nature of what it is and where it's at, you know?
And to your point, I'm always cautious about precedents, that we do something or engage in an activity now that later on becomes an issue in other cities saying, well, you did it for that city, so why can't you do it for us? So just always
Yeah,
being
right.
cautious on that end.
And I think,
Right.
you know, if it-
But the greater good is to be,
yeah, and if we're in another part of the county or another city, and you got FDOT coming in to do a project, and it just looks like this thing is about to happen, and hey, couldn't we make this better? You know, I don't think collaboration in order to do more and make it all done at one time is a bad thing. So, to be discussed further later, but those are just some points to just kind of think about, is the parochial fight over who gets what versus the bigger picture like you talked about. And then hopefully there'll be opportunities in other neighborhoods and other cities where things like this will come along, where we can take advantage of partnerships with other funding mechanisms. So anyway, is there any other
I did want to
question?
just share, Mr. Chair, that at the request of several board members, I have reached out to the leads, the various internal county leads that are on this project, and some of the other projects in the city of Sunrise that are occurring. And so when we do bring this back to you, it'll be a more comprehensive conversation. I'll certainly invite FDOT, the Turnpike Authority. I know FDOT is on the line right now, so they are listening to this conversation, and the city of Sunrise and their representatives, so that we can have kind of a comprehensive discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I go out there, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, I think it's gonna be great, so. Okay, can we move to the next note for the record, because that's a mouthful that I have to read here. Unless we can just say, hey, have you guys all read your backup? Note for the record, the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Florida Department of Transportation and Broward County for the purposes of articulating the roles and responsibilities of the parties during and after the project development and environmental study of the Florida East Coast Railway tracks from Aventura to Deerfield for the suitability of commuter rail. Study is fully funded and managed by FDOT with no expected surtax financial contribution for this phase. However, Broward County is responsible for stakeholder engagement, development of a financial plan, and potentially acting as a project sponsor for the subsequent phases. I think this is exciting, but so do we have anybody that wants to discuss or any comments, questions?
I would like to note for the record, please, that we do have FDOT and their consultants on the line. If there are any questions, we do have representatives that are available to speak to those.
Or if the representatives want to just speak on this item.
Hi guys, this is Mike Siskar. I'm the project manager with the consultant from the Cordino Group. We also have FDOT and the Corridor Management Consultants, RS&H on the line as well. But just a brief overview. The department is going to be, excuse me, reinitiating the NEPA or PD&E study for the project. It used to be called the Tri-Rail Coastal Link. It's not just a Broward County commuter rail because the limits are now going to be from the Aventura Station, Miami-Dade County, has a project from the downtown Miami station up to a new station at Aventura, and then this study will go from the Aventura station all the way through Broward County to a proposed northernmost station in Deerfield Beach near the Palm Beach County line. So the PD&E study will cover those limits, and we'll look at multiple stations along the route. One of the more high-profile, challenging components of the project is the New River Crossing, which the department and us, we did a high-level feasibility study in 2019, and we completed it about a year ago, where we developed 4 conceptual alternatives that will be the basis of the PD&E study, and we're going to evaluate all 4 of these alternatives in a lot more detail and specificity in this PD&E study. And just briefly, the 4 alternatives are, excuse me, a high-level bridge of 80 feet, which is similar to the Tri-Rail Bridge over the New River over by I-95, a mid-level bascule bridge, which is about 56.5 feet high, which is comparable in height to the 17th Street Causeway mid-level bascule, and then a low-level bridge, which is 21 feet, which is similar to the Andrews Avenue Bridge just to the west of this crossing. And the 4th alternative is a tunnel alternative, which we developed in the feasibility study, looked at it again at a high level, and we're going to be evaluating the tunnel and the 3 bridge options as part of this PD&E study to the same level of detail.
We look forward to that study.
Okay. So, if anybody has any other questions, it's kind of like a general overview of the project. And
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Yes, Mr. Frazier.
Since FDOT is involved in this, I don't know whether the feds are. On the FDOT, will the DBE requirements be a part of this project? And if so, since you have the consultants on board, do you have any DBE consultants that are part of this project?
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, our team's been in place for several years because we had started the study and stopped, and now we're restarting. But yeah, our team is comprised of, we have several DBE firms on the team, and as we restart the study, we will engage our entire, our team and obviously our DBE firms to ensure that we maintain the same commitment that we had originally. So yes, we do have DBE firms, and we're going to meet the commitment that we had.
Could you submit that to our board so we can have that as a matter of record, please?
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Steve Braun with the Florida DOT District 4 office. I'm the Director of Transportation Development. As mentioned, I think by the chair, this is a very exciting opportunity and project. We're looking forward to working closely with, obviously, Broward County, other stakeholders, and the Surtax Board on this. So as Mike Siskar mentioned, right, he is the project manager for this project development and environment study. We also have consultant resources available from a corridor management perspective. And in the nature of a PD&E study, and Mike Siskar had mentioned that, right, looking at multiple alternatives, looking at the environmental considerations of the project, and extensive public outreach as well. So the memorandum of understanding that was recently approved by Broward County outlines the roles and responsibilities of both the Department of Transportation and Broward County in some of those areas, including the outreach, the public engagement, the financial elements of the project, and so forth. So again, we're looking forward to, as Mike said, reinitiating the study. It's an important project, obviously, for the region. And I've worked closely with Gretchen on this, and I appreciate her dedication and commitment to get this MOU formalized.
How long will it take to get the results of the PD&E? When do you anticipate? Is there a schedule?
Yeah, we outlined really between an 18 to 24-month schedule, and one of the big variables on that schedule is coordination with the federal agencies, specifically the Coast Guard on what we call a class of action determination. But yeah, we're talking about that year and a half to 2 year time frame for the study.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. Exciting stuff. Can we move on to our action items? Item number 3 is a motion to approve the minutes from October 29th and from the November 19th retreats. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second was from Mr. Frazier. I think they get your. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
so
Doug Coleman, can I say something?
as soon as do you have something as it relates to the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I wasn't at the first meeting in October, but I was at the November, so therefore I think we need to approve the minutes in two different, rather than both at the same time. But more importantly, the meeting I was not at, I did read all those minutes, some 100+ pages. I missed an excellent meeting is what I'd like to say. I think there was a lot of good information in there. So I can vote on the second one, so I think we should take them in separate order, that's all.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that. So, it's really great to know that you're a student of transportation. So let's start with the October 29th. Can we get a motion to approve the October 29th meeting?
Dr. Kelly, so moved.
And Thea, second.
Okay, so I'm going to just ask for all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the October 29th meeting minutes are approved. And now, can I have a motion for the November 19th retreat?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, the minutes of the November 19th retreat are approved as well. Okay.
Alan, Doug Coleman again. Can I say something about the minutes?
You sure can.
My screen says October 29th, but I thought the meeting was in September.
Now you got to go
According to-
read another set of meetings.
No, I don't. I'm just asking because the paperwork that I have has September 24th and
Yeah.
November 17th.
So what happened was, the first package that you got was, there was a typo, and the page we're looking at now is corrected. So we were approving, so we approved two sets of minutes, and one was October 29th and one was November 19th.
And Vice Chair, the minutes that you read were the minutes of October 29th. It was just an error on the agenda.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
But for homework tomorrow, we'd like you to go back and read the September minutes. Okay.
It's a good thing I'm not there, bye.
All right, motion to approve a request for $100,000 in fiscal year 2021 surtax revenues by Broward County Public Works for the design of a multi-use path on Cypress Creek Road in Fort Lauderdale. I don't need to read the rest of it. Should we have a discussion first, or do we want to?
Well, I will say, Mr. Chair, we do have Mr. Tony Huey here to do the presentation
Okay.
on the request and, what the city of Fort Lauderdale asked for, how the city of Fort Lauderdale plans to provide their 10% contribution. So it's completely up to you, but perhaps we do the presentation and then take questions?
I think it would be responsible for us to at least do a quick presentation so
Of
we
course.
understand what we're voting on. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tony Huey, Broward County Public Works Department. This is a request for $90,000, and it is what this does is that it provides an advantage for us or provides an opportunity for us to take advantage of an existing FDOT project to improve the safety of the multimodal transportation in the Cypress Creek area. So let me give you a little bit of background information so everybody knows exactly what I'm referring to. The basis of it is that FDOT is making improvements along I-95, as many of us know. And wherever it's appropriate, what they also do at the same time is that they also make improvements on the approaches that merges into I-95. And wherever the opportunity exists, wherever there's a need, they do make improvements on it. And one such situation here is on the Cypress Creek Road. I think maybe instead of going through the slide, maybe the best way is just to show you a picture of it on the next slide, and I can follow along and explain it. So this is the map of the I-95. The major cross street that we're talking about is Cypress Creek Road, and the extent of what we're referring to here is bounded by on the west side by Powerline Road, and then on the east side is Northeast 9th Avenue. So this is that area in the block that you see here. And what's not shown on this map, but it's important to point out, is that right below Cypress Creek, there is a couple major multimodal type facilities. The Tri-Rail station is located right there. The park and ride lot is located right there. So this is a real good hub for multimodal transportation, not just for vehicles, but also for pedestrians and also bicyclists to take advantage of the entire area. Now, what FDOT is planning on doing with regards to this road improvements is that they're planning on adding a turn lane to it to improve operations on I-95. They're planning on, because of the multimodal conditions and the multimodal potential of the area. They're also planning on doing sidewalks. They were planning on doing bike lanes as part of the road modifications, and they're also going to improve and resurface that entire area that we're talking about. So as part of these multi-agencies review and discussions and so forth that we had with FDOT, City of Fort Lauderdale a couple months back requested that because this is such a potentially busy area, because there's a potential for high multimodal use, they request that FDOT take a look and see if instead of having the bike lanes on the road itself, which I think many of us are familiar with, see if they can take the bike lane and put it up above the roadway as a multi-use path. So FDOT did take a look at it, and the conclusion of it is that it is feasible. There's room to do that, and what they would do, and just a little bit of a background is that FDOT is just starting the design of this project, but they already have a consultant in place. They already have a contract to design some of these improvements that I referred to earlier. The consultant, like I said, took a look at it and concluded that a 10-foot wide multimodal path on each side of the road is feasible. There's enough room to do it. The unfortunate situation is because the project's in place, has started in terms of the contract and so forth. The design of this multimodal path is not in the current scope or in the current budget of the consultant. So what they have requested is that the total cost of doing adding this design to it is about $100,000. Fort Lauderdale has committed to funding 10,000 of it, so we're requesting a $90,000 approval from the Oversight Board and also our board in order to fund the design of this project. And what that will do, again, is that it will improve the safety of the bicyclists in that area, taking it from the roadway to an elevated, sort of like an elevated sidewalk, separated from the main traffic because of the busy traffic conditions. So our understanding and our discussion with the FDOT is that we will, if this is approved by the Oversight Board, our board will enter into local funding agreement with them for $100,000, with 90 of it coming from the county and 10,000 of it coming from the City of Fort Lauderdale. And currently, what the expectation is that this Oversight Board, this multi-purpose path can be included in the construction of as part of the overall project, and there's the cost should be included in the FDOT budget at this point in time. So this is a good opportunity for us to do something that increases safety.
That's great. Thank you for that explanation.
So on the, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
So on the motion to approve in this binder where it says 100,000, it should be 90,000, because we're getting 10 from the city.
Is that true?
Yeah, this is.
Okay, so then our motion will be for 90,000?
Right,
Okay.
sorry.
So you can, if you want to make a motion to that effect. No, just say, motion to approve only amending the 100,000 to 90,000. Something like that.
Motion
second
to-
that.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, motion to approve amending the agenda minutes, or agenda rather, for a request for 90,000 as opposed to 100,000 in FY 2021 surtax revenues.
I'll second that, Doug Coleman.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, we'll do the same thing.
Discussion?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Phil.
This is Phil. Angela, do we need to make a finding that this is statutory, or eligible under the statute?
Yes, Mr. Allen, we have to make a finding, and it is my recommendation that the Oversight Board approve this project as eligible. It is consistent with the statute. 212055 Florida statutes authorizes this type of project. It's planning and design for a road project, and it is eligible under the statute. 212055 1D of the Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that embodied in the motion then?
Okay. You want to just say yes? I think that's,
Yes, yes, it is.
okay.
Second.
All right, great. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I want to say something. I want to commend the cities and the county for taking this and, I would say, updating it and making it much safer for pedestrians and bicyclists in this area. It's extremely hazardous area for both, and I just commend those for looking into this and coordinating between the county and the cities. It's a wonderful example.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo the same. This is Mr. Smith. It's great to see these improvements. My hope is that a lot more of these are essentially connected together, and you can really change an area instead of just putting a bike path that people feel very dangerous about going on, starting to do the multimodal. So it is actually a big step to see projects like this. It's great to see.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, and thank you, Doug Kuhlman, who spoke earlier. Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments? Let's move to a discussion item. We want to set our 2021 Oversight Board meeting dates. Gretchen, do you want to kind of lead that one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in each of our individual Oversight Board briefings, we did discuss the need to set the calendar for 2021. Some of you, I was able to advise that because everyone is trying to meet virtually and there's very limited technology, rooms with the type of technology necessary to have this type of meeting, and include outside presenters and public participation, that it may be necessary just for the year of 2021 for us to consider moving our meetings from the fourth Thursday to the fourth Friday in many instances, because this room has been taken, as has room 430, for the fourth and fifth, where there are fifth Thursdays, every single month of 2021. So I wanted to share with you, and then, obviously, Mr. Chair, you can take the discussion where you would like it to go, that at this time, I was able to reserve this room, the Commission Chambers, for the 26th of March, which is a Friday, the 29th of April, also a Friday. I did not find a room availability during May, but that is also the Memorial Day weekend, so perhaps the Oversight Board would like to take a break for May. I was able to reserve this room for the 25th of June, which is also a Friday. Then for our 2-day budget workshop and 5-year plan update. I am proposing the dates of August 19th, a Thursday, August 20th, a Friday. That would allow the Oversight Board to have about a 6 to 7 week break over the summer. I don't know if that's something that you all would like to do, but it would allow you to go from the 25th of June through the 19th of August without a meeting. And then our normal retreat with a kind of fiscal year 2021 review, I'm proposing for November 19th. Just like the 2020, we met on the 19th, but this would be a Friday. So those are the dates that I was able to secure in this room, knowing that perhaps as the pandemic changes and our situations change, that perhaps we would want to go back to looking at traffic engineering or even a room out at a governmental center west once your mobility advancement program staff relocate to 1 University Drive at Governmental Center West, which is expected within the next few months. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair, and I...
Gretchen, I'm sorry, in May, did you say May 21st or 28th?
So I am proposing at this time, no May meeting. A meeting in March, a meeting in April, no meeting in May, a meeting in June, no meeting in July, a 2-day workshop in August, no meeting in September, no meeting in October, a retreat in November.
So I have one conflict. I will be, did you say the 18th of June?
No, the 25th of June.
So from the 18th until the 26th, I'm going to be on a trip, and I won't even be able to go virtual. So if you're okay with me either not being there, or if you want to, if it can be moved, maybe to the 11th.
Okay.
And if that's okay with the rest of my colleagues, because I'm okay if the rest of you want to have it on the 25th, and I'm fine.
Oops. If I may say, the 11th is better for me, too. It's Dr. Kelly.
11th works for me. It's fine for me.
I'm fine with the 11th.
I'm fine.
I'm also fine with the 11th. This is Allison.
I'm good.
Oh, good. Thank you all. I appreciate that. Okay, so how will we do this? Ms. Thompson, will you?
So that's June 11th?
I will confirm all of these with you. I just
Yeah.
need to make sure that this room is available on the 11th.
Oh, okay.
And then I will confirm and I'll send out our typical dates. I'll go ahead and update our agenda to reflect that we'll no longer be meeting on the 4th Thursdays for fiscal year 2020, for calendar year 2021.
Okay.
Were there any other conflicts with any of the dates that I mentioned that the Oversight Board members need to bring up?
What was the April date that you mentioned, Gretchen?
The 29th?
Hold on.
Also, I think many of you mentioned that you would prefer to have...
Oh, it would be April the 23rd.
23rd.
The 29th is a Thursday.
Hold on 1 second.
I think you might have hit the wrong month.
Let me check my
Hold on,
calendar.
It's a Friday, right? As long as it's a Friday.
April 30th is a Friday. She said 4th week in the month.
Ah, you are absolutely correct. I was able to hold this room on Thursday, April 29th. There was not a conflict that date, if you all want to stick with that particular Thursday. If you want me to move it to the 30th, I can try to do that. The 29th is Thursday, and the 30th is Friday.
And the 23rd was not available.
No.
That's why. Okay, I'm
fine
good
with
either
either of
day.
those.
I'm good too.
Okay. Many of you mentioned that you would prefer more frequent meetings that are shorter. So I think that this calendar that we're setting will allow us to have fewer full-day meetings in 2021.
And I'm going to ask one, November, there's a retreat, a 2-day retreat, or a 1-day? And what day is that? The 19th?
The 19th, which is a
Okay.
Friday.
I should be good. Yeah, the sooner I can put it in my calendar, then I don't plan other stuff. I'm sure the rest of us feel that way.
I'll have everything out to you by this afternoon.
That's fast. You're good. Okay. So the next thing is, if there's any member reports, do any of the members want to make a report or bring something up? General Counsel?
Thank you, Chair. I mentioned briefly earlier the Second Amendment to the Global Interlocal Agreement, which we anticipate will be effective soon. We've just a few more municipalities need to approve it, and we anticipate that occurring next week. It was approved by the MPO board yesterday, and the county will execute it after sufficient signatures are received from the other participants, the other parties, and thereafter, we will be able to begin executing funding agreements for the municipal Surtax projects. Executing the funding agreements and those projects will start to roll out.
So, excuse me,
Yes.
I'm sure you may have furnished this before, I think, but I don't remember. Do we have copies of that? The interlocal agreement with the municipalities?
The global ILA that commits the funding, I can provide those. I'm not sure whether we've provided them before, but we'll make sure that you receive it.
Absolutely. And just for your edification and for anybody who might be watching that's interested, they're on our website. Our website is under construction right now, so they may have moved around a little bit, but we do try to make sure that all of the interlocal agreements or any agreements that relate to the Surtax are there for transparency.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, please, Nicole.
I'd like to introduce our newest staff
Yeah.
member.
Great.
So Tashana Williams came to us in mid-December. She's our public information specialist. I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Greetings, member of the board. Like Nicole said, my name is Tashana Williams. I am the new public information specialist here at Math Admin. Started December 14th, and prior to that, my experience with the county started in 2020 with the Community Partnerships Division, and I was there as their administrative professional as well as their marketing professional, serving the homeless services, healthcare services, and children's services sections. Prior to that, I have over 6 years of experience with the private sector, working in PR and marketing agencies as well as corporations as their marketing professional. So my experience spans from small business and boutique PR firms to larger national, more corporate brands and international agencies. So super excited to bring that experience here with the MAP administration, excuse me. And I look forward to working with all of you, so thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you too.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, one last thing, board coordinator reports. Gretchen, do you have anything to report?
Sure, I'll just add a little bit to what Angela mentioned. It's actually 13 municipalities that have passed. We have reached our 50% plus one requirement, but we must also have half of the municipalities that are participating. So we also, I did get a couple questions from Oversight Board members during the briefings about how things are going with the MPO. We've been meeting with them on a regular basis. We have a really good consultant on staff through them that's being paid for with the Surtax, coming up with a application process for municipal projects that are new. That will be, so one of the upcoming meetings, either the March or April meeting, we'll be hearing from them about what that process is going to look like and how it's being rolled out to our municipal partners. So things are going well.
Good, thank you. I think we're done. It's almost, we beat 11:30, less than 2 hours. It was very productive, great meeting, and look forward to the rest of 2021 working hard. Thank you, everybody. And you guys have a great weekend. Everybody on the phone, have a great weekend. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
You too.